everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Luna's Galaxy podcast. My name is Emmy, but you can also call me Luna, and I'll be the host of this show. The Luna's Galaxy podcast goes live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcast services on Tuesday every 2 weeks, except for today, because I was sick, so apologies that this episode has been delayed a few days, but it kind of worked out because now we have a lot more gaming news than if I had recorded earlier in the week because we had a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play and some other stuff happen. So it kind of worked out in a way, but yeah. Thank you for your patience. But anyway, for this episode, we have 3 segments: gaming news, what I've been playing, and of course, questions. Before we get started, if you would like to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would greatly appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you to my patrons at the Galaxies tier, Stevie and Tolizu, for supporting the show. If you'd like to support my content financially, get a shout out on the show, and access to exclusive and early access content, follow the Patreon link in the podcast description to get all that good, juicy stuff. And one last thing before we get started, I have a new video out on YouTube. It is my I, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative experience, part 1. This video is sort of like my Twitch highlights from the VODs when I streamed I, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. It has all of the game up until Ryuki's kind of section. It has all of Ryuki's section, essentially, of the game. In that, it's kind of long, but I would like to think that it's kind of fun, so be sure to watch that if that sounds interesting. There is going to be at least another 2 parts for that sort of Nirvana Initiative experience series, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's get on to some gaming news. So the first thing for gaming news, we had the Disney and Marvel showcase, and I talked about this on the last episode because it had just been announced, and this didn't really need to exist. There wasn't much here. There was a lot of mobile games and a lot of pretty mid games. There was nothing for myself personally, and I know a lot of people on Twitter were like, oh, why did this even happen? The reception was not good overall. But one thing did catch my eye, and that is Disney Dreamlight Valley. So it is out now in early access. I think it's like $40 Canadian. I don't know, your currency, I don't know what it is, but it's like $40 Canadian. And that early access is, I think, on all platforms. So Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, I think Steam, all that stuff. And so the game is going to be going free to play sometime in 2023. So I'm not going to be playing it until it's free to play because I'm really cheap. But this game looks really good. And I've been seeing a lot of videos of it and just stuff online about it since the game's come out in early access. People are really enjoying it. I think I will really enjoy it when it becomes free to play. But they showed off that there's going to be new Toy Story content coming to the game, and that looked really cool. So I'm pretty excited for that once I get to play that game. I think I'm going to enjoy it. But yeah, I'm waiting. And then the big news, so we had a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play on the same day, which is wild. So Nintendo announced their Direct first, and then I think it was a few hours later, PlayStation announced that they're going to be having a State of Play. And it was like, whoa. So the Nintendo Direct was in the morning, and then in the afternoon/evening, wherever you are, we had the State of Play. So it was a pretty crazy day, if I do say so myself. And so let's get into the Nintendo Direct news first, since that was first. So the Direct opened with Fire Emblem Engage, and this is a new mainline Fire Emblem game, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I feel like I need to see more of it, for sure. There was older characters, so Marth was there. It looked like you could summon older Fire Emblem characters. The only one I really noticed was Marth, but I'm assuming there will probably be more. And it looks good. Like, aesthetics and graphics wise, I do think it looks better than Three Houses. Which isn't to say that Three Houses looks bad, because when I played Three Houses, I was like, okay, this is fine. But before I played it, when I would just see screenshots online, I'd be like, oh, this does not look that great. So I think purely aesthetics wise, Fire Emblem Engage kind of looks better. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of it. It's coming out January 2023, which is like really soon. I love this thing that Nintendo is doing lately where it seems like they're announcing games between like 6 months to like a year before they come out. I fucking love it. I mean, obviously, Legend of Zelda, the new Legend of Zelda game, that's a different story. We've known about that for many years now. But generally speaking, a lot of Nintendo's new games that they're working on, we don't find out until very close to release. And more companies, please take note because it's just so refreshing to see a trailer and know that the game is going to come out and also know that, you're not waiting, over 2 years for it. It's coming out within the next few months to a year. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Nintendo. And so after that, there's a new Fatal Frame game coming to Switch next year, and I haven't played any Fatal Frame games, but they have been catching my eye. So if any of y'all have played Fatal Frame before, let me know what you think, because I kind of want to check it out. I don't know if this new one that they announced at the Direct is going to be like a good starting point. I really don't know much, but whenever I see the trailers, I think that it looks cool. So I really want to try out one of these games at some point, and October is coming up. October is upon us. So maybe that'll be a game that I check out. And there were a lot of farming games in this Direct. There's been a lot of memes on like Twitter and stuff about all of the farming games. But like honestly, I really liked it, which I mean, and I don't even play many like farming games to be fair. But to me it was more refreshing than, a lot of Jeff Keighley's stuff this year where it was just space games. So I don't know, there seems to be something with space games and farm games in the industry right now. But I would much rather see farming games than space games. That's just my personal taste. But anyway, so one of them was Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. And this news wasn't like shown off in the Direct, but it came out afterwards just on Twitter and stuff that you can be non-binary and you can romance anyone regardless of whatever gender you choose to play as. So that's very cool. Love to see that. And I think like those sort of farming simulation games are really good in that way, in that, it really is about the player experience. So I think having as many options there as possible, for romancing a character or, what gender you can be, I think it's fantastic. So shout out to Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life for that representation. Thank you. And then Octopath Traveler 2 has been announced, and that's going to be releasing February 2023, so another one that's coming up pretty soon and within the next 6 months. And so I played the demo for the first Octopath Traveler. I want to say, yeah, it was when I first got my Switch, because I remember I didn't have any games for it, and so I was like, I'll just download this demo, because it was like one of the only Switch games that I even knew existed. And it was okay. Should I like play it? Because I feel like from what I've heard about Octopath Traveler, some people really love it, and some people are just like, well, it's kind of mid. So, I don't know. I'm interested. Maybe I should, like, see if I can play more of the demo. I don't know if I can. Maybe I should see if I can do that, and maybe get the game. I don't know. It's just one of those things where Switch games are more expensive than, buying a game on PlayStation for the most part. Because PlayStation games you can get on sale for like $20, and then Switch, I mean, So it's a bit more, I have to be more picky with where I spend my money. But yeah, I know a lot of people were really happy about Octopath Traveler 2. So, hell yeah. And they showed off Fae Farm, which is another farming game, which looked like it also had some RPG elements. And what I liked about this trailer, other than just the aesthetics, that was really cute, was that the characters have like little wings, and they didn't for the entirety of the trailer. It looked like just during the RPG moments, when you're like exploring, it looked like they had like little fairy wings, which was really cute. So might check that out. I don't know. There was a lot of farming stuff, and I mean, Harvestella is the one that I'm the most interested in, so we'll see. But will I become a farmer? I don't know. Anyway, so one very exciting announcement from this Direct for myself personally was that we're going to be getting a new Final Fantasy Theatrhythm game. And so a few episodes ago, when I talked about sort of the 3DS and some of my favorite games on 3DS, I talked a lot about Final Fantasy Theatrhythm Curtain Call. I fucking love that game. I think it is so good. It's one of my favorite rhythm games. And it has such a wide selection of songs from Final Fantasy. I loved the gameplay with like the stylus, touchscreen, all that. I thought it was fantastic. I love that game so much. I played a lot of that game, and I talked about how, this is one of the only games, from 3DS that I really enjoyed that hasn't had, either like a sequel on Switch or a remaster or a port on Switch, and how, that would be nice. And honestly, I didn't really think we'd get one. So this was like a very surprising announcement that made me very, very excited. So we're getting a new Theatrhythm game. It's called Theatrhythm Bar Line, and it's coming out February 2023. So once again, it's coming out, relatively soon, within the next 6 months. And it has 385 Final Fantasy songs. And I can't remember, I don't know the exact number that Curtain Call had, but I'm assuming right now that's going to be all of the songs from Curtain Call, plus, some additional songs, mostly from newer entries. So, Curtain Call, I believe the latest game they had was like Lightning Returns / Final Fantasy 14. I can't remember whatever one of those came out last, but it was around that time period. So there wasn't like Final Fantasy 15 music. They didn't have anything from the Final Fantasy 14 like expansions or anything. And so, playing it now, you're like, oh, this would be better with like Final Fantasy 15 songs. And so in the trailer, at least we know that there's going to be some of those newer songs. So just from stuff that I've seen online, not just in the trailer, but also on the official Theatrhythm website, there's going to be some songs from up to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was like very recent. I believe I also saw Strangers of Paradise. There's some songs from there as well, which is like so cool. I am so happy that we're getting these new songs. Final Fantasy 15, all that stuff. And so I assume that's going to be like the bulk of the new songs. I assume they're not going to add too much from like, the stuff that was already in Curtain Call, because that's already a really big track list. But we are getting stuff from newer Final Fantasy games, which is super exciting. And we're also getting DLC tracks from other games like Nier. I believe they also said like Chrono Trigger, Live Alive, and a few other games. And so that's really cool. They definitely seem to care more about this rhythm game than they did with Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. But honestly, I mean, I've said this before, Melody of Memory to me wasn't a great rhythm game. I love rhythm games. Melody of Memory just never clicked with me. And, I really love Theatrhythm, so I'm kind of glad, like, if any game was going to get this treatment, that it is Theatrhythm. They also announced a digital deluxe edition, which features 27 extra songs and all the DLC, which, sounds good. But as far as I can tell online right now, there's no way to get those extra 27 songs with the digital deluxe edition if you buy the game physically, which seems really weird to me. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of update on that, if that's going to change, if we're going to get new information about that anytime soon. But this pisses me off because I want to get a physical version of this game. But I also really want the digital deluxe edition because I want to get all the DLC tracks because I really like this game. So I don't know how that's going to go, unfortunately. I feel like digital deluxe editions are one of the worst things genuinely to happen to the games industry, because a lot of us like getting our games physical and we don't want to be punished for buying them physically because, a lot of the times, like on the PS4, the only way that you could get like a certain PS4 theme would be to buy a digital deluxe edition. If you bought it physically, there was no way to get that theme. It wasn't available for purchase on PSN. It didn't come with like some sort of redeemable code within the physical version of the game. And that shit really pisses me off because like it just feels like you're punishing people for no reason. And I know that developers get more money through digital sales, and that's probably, they're trying to incentivize that, but it really rubs me the wrong way. I really don't like when games withhold content for a digital release that you literally cannot get any other way if you buy it physically. Because, like, I wouldn't even mind paying extra to get those, DLC songs that are only available in the digital version, but whatever, I guess. And this is also coming out on PS4, I believe, so I don't know, maybe I will buy like the digital deluxe version on PS4 and then get a physical version on Switch. I don't know. I can always do something like that. But it's just irritating to even have to think about that because, I am going to want the Platinum since it is releasing on PlayStation. So I am probably going to get it on PlayStation. But that's frustrating. And it also has online multiplayer. So I don't think that the 3DS version had any form of online multiplayer. If it did, I never got to do it. So yeah, I didn't have any friends or, anyway. But I am curious with how this will play on Switch because I believe that the 3DS version did have button controls as well as the touchscreen controls, but I only ever use the touchscreen controls because, I just prefer touchscreen controls for rhythm games. I think it's why a lot of my favorite rhythm games are mobile because they're just touchscreen. I really like that sort of form of rhythm games. And I think that's another reason why maybe Melody and Memory didn't click with me as much, even though, I really like the Persona dancing games, which don't have touch controls. But anyway, so I am curious how it will play, like if not being able to use touch controls is going to make it a worse game for me. That is one thing I'm kind of worried about. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm very, very excited for this game, and if you are a Final Fantasy fan or if you like rhythm games, I very highly recommend this game, even though it hasn't come out yet, because Curtain Call was so good, and just do yourself a favor. There's so many songs, and so many good songs as well. Like, to me, Final Fantasy has a much stronger catalog of music than Kingdom Hearts, which I think is another downfall of Melody and Memory, unfortunately, is that a lot of the songs just don't really hit, especially like some of the Disney ones. But anyway, I think you will enjoy Theatrhythm Bar Line if you're a Final Fantasy fan or a rhythm game fan, or both, especially if you're both. And I know I'm really excited, probably going to get it day one. So yeah, that was a really cool announcement for myself personally. And in other news, we got some information about the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack getting more games. And so a lot of the ones that they announced were Mario Party. We're getting quite a few Mario Party games coming to that service. But the one that caught my eye was GoldenEye 007 is coming to the service, and it's going to have online multiplayer. So this is really cool. I'm sure a lot of people are really excited about this. This is also coming to Xbox. And it's interesting to me because, I never had a Nintendo 64 growing up. I had, my babysitter had a Nintendo 64, and so even though I didn't have it myself, all of my memories with the Nintendo 64 are, with other people, and one of those memories is playing GoldenEye 007 as a child. So I do have those memories with it. I remember being, so kind of confused because I'd never played a game like that before. And so, I think it'll be fun just to play it for 10 minutes for the nostalgia factor of it. I don't know if I'll really get into it, if many people will really get into it, after they have that initial nostalgia moment. But I think it's really cool regardless, because from what I've gathered, it's been kind of difficult to, I don't know if it's port or remaster this game or something like that, but anyway, I don't know too much about it, but this is cool. So anyway, moving on. And then Various Daylife was announced, and this is a mobile game on Apple Arcade, I believe. It's Square Enix, and it got ported to Switch, and it's out now. I don't know much about it. I kind of caught my eye, but I don't know. I don't know about this one, but it did catch my eye, so I will say that. And another announcement is that Ebe is coming to Switch, and how they pronounce it, they didn't say it as Ebe in the direct. I think they might have said it as Ibe, but that also sounds wrong. I don't know. Ebe is coming to Switch, but I don't think they pronounced it as Ebe in the direct. So if you haven't heard of Ebe, I played this game last year. It is an RPG Maker horror game where you play as this young girl named Ebe, and her parents take her to this museum, and things kind of go wrong, and it becomes a horror game. And I really love this game. The music in this game is really good. Y'all know me, I love RPG Maker horror games. And so if that sounds like at all your thing, I highly recommend checking it out. It is one of my favorite RPG Maker horror games. I definitely think it's one of the better ones. It is one of the more story heavy ones, I would say, out of the ones that I've played. And so I really like Eve. I'm really excited that's coming to Switch. I believe the version that is coming to Switch is also like the remake that came to Steam, I want to say. So I played the older version of Eve. I haven't played the remake remaster. And so I'm probably going to get this on Switch. I'm pretty excited for it. Really love this game. And yeah, you should also play it. It's really good. Then next, we got a sneak peek at some new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks. And so one of them looked like it was Christmas themed, and it's coming from Mario Kart Tour. And then the other one that we got a sneak peek at was Peach Gardens from the DS. And I don't know why they didn't just reveal the entire lineup for this next Booster Course track release, because it's going to be releasing, they said, holiday this year. So it's like, I don't know why they're hiding what those other tracks are. It doesn't make sense to me. I like the other 6 tracks, like you're only going to show off 2. I don't know, that seemed weird to me. Maybe they're still working on them. I don't know. It feels weird that they didn't just say, here's the whole lineup for the next DLC. But anyway, still cool, still looking forward to it. More Mario Kart during the holiday season. Very nice. And then we got to see some more Harvestella, and there's a demo out now, so that's very exciting. I'm so happy that we're seeing a resurgence of demos in video games. And so I have downloaded the demo. I have played like a very small portion of it. And I mean, if you're at all interested in Harvestella, like I have been since it's been announced, then check out the demo, because I believe you can play up to chapter 2 or up to a certain amount of days played in the game. So check it out if you're all interested. I'm looking forward to the full game, but for now I've been, picking at the demo. Want to play more of that today after I finish recording, so hell yeah for that. And another game that got shown off was Master Detective Archives Rain Code. And if you haven't heard of this game, this is being made essentially by the same team that did Danganronpa. So you have the same composer. You have, I think, Kodaka's working on it, so the same director/writer. A lot of the same artists, etc., etc. A lot of the same people working. They did Danganronpa working on this game. And it looks good. Y'all know I have mixed feelings about Danganronpa, but I'm optimistic about this game. I like how it's being presented so far, just from what we've seen in the trailer, getting to explore, and, it's kind of hard to see much of what this game is going to be like so far, but I want to be optimistic. My main hope is that there's certain Danganronpa-isms that don't carry through to this game, like, sexualizing minors and all that other weird shit that Danganronpa has done throughout the years that make me uncomfortable, make a lot of people uncomfortable. I hope that, fingers crossed, they can leave some of that stuff behind and just make a good game. So, I definitely need to see more of it, but I am interested. I am very interested. So many announcements in this direct. So we got to see more of Crisis Core Reunion, which is very exciting, and we finally got a release date. It's going to be releasing December 13th of this year. So initially when they announced this, they said it was going to be coming out this winter, and, I think everyone was like, okay, December. But obviously this winter could mean January or February or, whatever. We're not just limited to December. And so I'm very excited that it is releasing in December, and also like pretty early in December. I'm very excited for this game. I love Crisis Core so much. This was shown off at the direct, but I am probably gonna buy it on PlayStation because I like trophies. And I also, it's gonna play better, it's gonna look better on PlayStation, so that's what we're doing. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll end up buying it on Switch as well just to have it handheld because I really like this game. It is a comfort game, so to speak. And so I'm very excited for that. December 13th. And I mean, I said this when it got announced and, during 7 Remake and all this stuff. I'm still not used to Zach's new voice actor. Honestly, I feel like it's making me, like, I almost feel like it sounded a bit worse in this trailer. I don't know, like, most of the Final Fantasy VII Remake recasts that they did have been so good, if not better than the original cast, no offense. But, I think Zach is genuinely one of the best characters in the Final Fantasy VII universe, and a lot of people love him. He is so beloved, and it just sucks that so many people don't, like, 'cause it's not just me, but that so many people just aren't clicking with his new voice actor in the same way that they have with a lot of the other characters. It just, he doesn't sound like Zach. And I don't know. I want to get used to it, but I don't think I'm ever going to get used to it. So I just have to accept that at this point. But we also got to see Cissnei. So Cissnei is a Final Fantasy VII character that is, I believe, only in Crisis Core. She's also in Before Crisis, I want to say. But we don't want to talk about Before Crisis. But she's mainly playing a role in Crisis Core, and it's really exciting to see her again because she is so pretty. And, maybe, fingers crossed, maybe we'll get to see her in, 7 Remake Part 2. What was that called again? Rebirth? Is that what they're calling it? I can't remember. I would like to see more of Cissnei because I really like her in Crisis Core, so it was nice to see her in the trailer as well. Very, very exciting. I'm very excited to play this and hopefully stream it. Very exciting. And then the next announcement was that Tales of Symphonia is getting a remaster on Switch. And so, if y'all have watched me stream Tales of Symphonia, almost every stream that I played that game, I said this would be a perfect game for Switch. I don't understand why Tales of Symphonia is not on Switch yet because, like, the vibe is just perfect for Switch. So I've been saying this for months, and it finally got announced that they are remastering it, which, like, perfect. Perfect. But I'm, like, almost a bit pissed off because I, like, bought it on Switch, or not on Switch, on Steam. And I played so much of it on Steam. And I don't like playing games on Steam, okay? But it was the only way that I could play it. And so, like, I didn't have a choice because I wanted to play Tales of Symphonia. But anyway, so now it's going to be coming to Switch. I'm just like, damn, if only I had waited, then I could have played this game on Switch. I would have enjoyed it so much more. And at this point, I probably put in, like, 20-ish hours into Tales of Symphonia on Steam. So it's like, I don't want to do all that again on Switch. It's just frustrating. So I don't know. I might eventually pick up this game because I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to finish it on Steam just because I don't like playing games on Steam. So, we'll see. But, I mean, good for y'all. I just wish I had waited because it's a perfect Switch game. So if you haven't played Tales of Symphonia, you're at all interested, I do highly recommend it because, like I said, it's perfect for Switch. I think that the vibes are perfect for Switch. I think you'll really enjoy it if you like RPGs or, the Tales of series, whatever. Check it out. I just wish that I had waited for the Switch release and not, started on Steam. But anyway, I'm just being petty. And the last thing that they showed off in the Direct was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is releasing in May of 2023. And so a lot of us saw this coming. We knew that we're going to see more Legend of Zelda at some point. A lot of people were thinking it's going to come out next year, and it has been confirmed. And we also, obviously, got the official title, which isn't just the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is officially Tears of the Kingdom. There's a lot of jokes on Twitter about this because Nintendo didn't want to live stream the Direct in the UK because of the Queen's death. And a lot of people were like, that's weird. And there's so many jokes about, it's probably because the new Legend of Zelda game is called Tears of the Kingdom. Meanwhile, everyone is, like, mourning the Queen. Anyway, so that's exciting. We didn't get to see much of it, unfortunately, but I mean, I was just content to have, the title of it and a release date, so whatever, I'm sure we will see more of it before it releases. And honestly, I don't really know if I need to see more of it, because in my mind, it's just more Breath of the Wild, and I think that that's fine, and I'm, looking forward to it. I don't think, I don't know, I don't feel like I need to see much more of it. TBH. But anyway. So now let's get into the state of play. So there was a lot less in this. So that Nintendo Direct was bulky. That was like one of the best Nintendo Directs for myself personally. Just perfect for my taste. But anyway, everyone take notes. So then we had the state of play, which was later on in the day, and this was about 20 minutes long, and there wasn't as much for myself personally in here, but it was still really good. I still enjoyed my time watching it. I didn't feel like they wasted my time. And at the end of the day, I feel like that is the best way to go about these presentations, is I like when they don't waste my time, when they're, between that 20 to 50 minute mark, and there's not a bunch of filler, and it's just, game, and they don't waste my time. That's just perfect. I'm still kind of bitter about Gamescom and Summer Games Fest, and pretty much Jeff Keighley shows, like, let's be honest. I hope that the Game Awards is better this year. But anyway, what I'm saying is that the state of play was also good. And so some announcements here that I really enjoyed was Like a Dragon Ishin remake. And so this is a Yakuza game, and so this is the first time this game is coming to the West, which is so exciting. And so with this, we also kind of have started this thing where the Yakuza series is getting rebranded as Like a Dragon, and I don't know how I feel about it, because I almost feel like Yakuza as a series has very, very recently become, maybe not like a pinnacle, but a lot more popular in the West, and has really made a name for itself in these past few years, kind of starting with Yakuza 0, and then I think especially with Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. It's become a lot more popular. It's become more ingrained in gaming culture, not just in the East, but also in the West, which is very exciting. I really love these games. And so it feels weird that now they're rebranding to Like a Dragon, because it feels like Yakuza is just so well known and, has become iconic in a way, at least to me. And so it feels weird that they're rebranding this. I'm probably going to keep calling, Yakuza. I'm going to call Like a Dragon 8. Yakuza 8, like, that's just, I don't do well with change. But anyway, we're getting Like a Dragon Ishin remake, and I honestly don't know much about this game, but I'm gonna play it. So this is also coming early February 2023, which, like, February 2023 is looking stacked right now for me. We got Theatrhythm, we got this, what was it, there was another game that was coming up. I don't know. There was another game in the Direct that I can't remember right now, but you just listen to me talk about it, and I already don't remember. But anyway, early 2023 is looking great. In January of Fire Emblem, anyway. And then some other games that they showed off in the state of play that I thought looked cool were Sin Duality, Stellar Blade, which was formerly Project Eve, and then Rise of Ronin. They look cool. Not much to say about them. I feel like, maybe I'll play them sometime. But they're not day one buys for me by any means, but I am interested in them. And that was pretty much it for the state of play. And then we had the RGG Studio Summit. And so if you don't know, RGG Studio is the studio that does the Yakuza games, the Judgment games, all that stuff. Really love them, really love their work. And so in that, we got Like a Dragon 8 announced, so Yakuza 8. And this is going to be releasing in 2024, and this is going to be following Ichiban, who is the protagonist of Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon, and Kiryu. And so y'all know I've played Yakuza 0 up until Yakuza 3. I want to get to Yakuza 4, like, pretty soon. But anyway, I haven't sort of finished Kiryu's saga, which ends at Yakuza 6. So, I don't know the story, the plot relevance of all this. No idea. But I'm so excited that Kiryu is back. I love Kiryu so much. I think he is such a good protagonist. I really love seeing his development and character throughout these games. I think that he is a staple to the Yakuza series. And so I'm so excited. I'm so happy that Kiryu is back, which, like, I haven't played Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon yet, and I know a lot of people love Ichiban, and, they love, sort of all the changes that they did with Like a Dragon. And I'm sure when I get to it, I will also enjoy it. But Kiryu just holds such a special place in my heart. And now that I know we're not completely moving on from Kiryu, I feel a bit better, you know? I feel like I'm back at home again with Kiryu. Like, he is my man. He is the one that I come home to every day. And Ichiban's kind of like a side piece or something. Anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. I really like Kiryu. I'm really glad that he's back. And then we got another game announced, which is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which is a Kiryu game. So, and this is set after Yakuza 6, but before Like a Dragon, so Yakuza 7, I believe. Like I said, I don't know the story. I don't know Yakuza past the point of Yakuza 3. No idea what's going on. But I'm so happy to see more of Kiryu. And I believe this is going to be a shorter game. But anyway, I'm just so happy to see Kiryu. So that was very exciting. Very exciting moment for me anyway. So that is all the news that we have for this episode. So let's talk about what I've been playing. So I finished Last Window, Secret of Cape West. This is a game for the DS. I've talked about it on here before. It's a sequel to Hotel Dusk, Room 215. It's a visual novel. It is mystery, all that stuff. And I really loved Hotel Dusk. That was my favorite game that I played last year. And so I had to play Last Window, and I started this in like February. And then I dropped it for a long time, and then I just finished it like last week. And I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Hotel Dusk, unfortunately. And I think the main reasoning for that is the characters. The characters are still pretty good in Last Window. You know, they feel very real, which was one of my favorite things about Hotel Dusk, was that all the characters felt like real people. Just the way that they're like animated and drawn and the way that they talk, they feel very real. That was one of my biggest sort of praises for Hotel Dusk, and Last Window is very similar in that way. However, I just didn't find myself as personally invested in the characters. So when I played Hotel Dusk, I really, really loved like Rosa and Louis. Louis was my favorite. Fucking loved him. And Dunning. I thought that they were just great characters. I really loved them. I hated leaving them at the end of the game. And so Last Window, I didn't really feel that way about any of the characters. I enjoyed them, but there wasn't anyone where I was like, I love you so much, the same way that I was with like Louis, or that I was like really interested and invested in their personal stories like I was with, you know, Rosa or Dunning. And so I think that that's the main thing for me, because, you know, the core mystery of Last Window is still pretty good, but I liked the characters in Hotel Dusk a lot more, and I think that really made that game for me, whereas with Last Window, I find the characters a bit weaker. Although I did really like some characters like Marie and Mrs. Patrice, and Sydney. I really liked them, but they never quite hit at the same level as those Hotel Dusk characters, which is pretty unfortunate. But it's still a good game if you're all interested. But I mean, I recommend Hotel Dusk, and if you really love Hotel Dusk, play Last Window. But you just gotta play Hotel Dusk. That's sort of my takeaway from it. But anyway, so another game that I've been playing is Life is Strange True Colors, and I started this a couple weeks ago. It was after the last podcast came out. But anyway, I started Life is Strange True Colors, and right now I'm at the beginning of chapter 5, so I'm like almost done with the game, and it's good. Like, there's this weird thing. So I got into Life is Strange when I was a teenager, probably when I was like 15, 16, I can't remember exactly. But that was when I first played the first Life is Strange game, and I loved it. I love that game so much. Even then, you know, you're listening to the characters and you're like, oh, this dialogue can be like kind of cringy. But I really love the core of that game, the story, the characters, all that stuff. Really love the first Life is Strange. Very special place in my heart. And within the first probably 15 minutes of playing True Colors, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, have I outgrown Life is Strange as a series? Because it just wasn't pulling me in the same way that the first game did, or even really that Before the Storm did. Before the Storm is a lot weaker than the first game, but I still was invested to a degree, and maybe that's just, you know, it's a direct continuation of the first game, or like prequel, but whatever. But there's something about True Colors where I was like, I feel like I should be enjoying this a lot more than I am, and I still kind of feel that way, unfortunately. But it was kind of weird getting back into Life is Strange, and I forgot how much you can interact with like the items in the environments. So like the first time that you can do that in True Colors is you're in the flower shop and you can like walk around and like you can like look at the flowers, and Alex will say like this one liner, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm playing Life is Strange. Like I really forgot about those sort of Life is Strange isms that are in there. And so, I mean, there's that. But yeah, the characters still talk weird. I thought that this would be better by now that we've had quite a few Life is Strange games. And so so I wrote about this in my weekly gaming journal. If you are supporting me on Patreon, you might have read this already. But the way that I would describe how Life is Strange characters talk is that they kind of talk like theater kids that are always trying to like be funny or be really witty about something. That's how a lot of the younger, so like the sort of teenage or like young adult characters in Life is Strange talk. It is, I mean, I'm a theater kid, so like no offense if you're also a theater kid, but that's what it reminds me of. It's like a very specific vibe, or like, you know, if you're like scrolling through Tinder and someone's bio says like this really witty joke where you can tell like they're just trying like a bit too hard. They're trying a bit too hard to grab your attention. Like that's what Life is Strange dialogue kind of feels like. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I will say my favorite part of the game so far has been chapter 1, which is like kind of weird because chapter 1 you want it to like pull you in, and I think that's a good strong moment to have in a game is the beginning. You don't want to be playing a game for like 20 hours before it gets good. So chapter 1 is the strongest point of the game for me. That's the one that's probably going to stick with me the most. But I have mixed feelings about that because I played the entirety of chapters 2 to 4 and they just don't hit the same. I wasn't overly invested. There's some good moments, but I'm not getting into it in the way that I would have liked to. And so if you watched any of the marketing leading up to Life is Strange True Colors, you'll know that Alex Chen has a superpower as Life is Strange does. And her superpower is being an empath, which like I remember just kind of like laughing over this when it got announced. I still kind of do. It works in the game, but it is still maybe like a bit cheesy. I don't know. I like how they implement it, but at the same time, I'm like, Anyway, it's weird. I have a weird relationship with this game so far, and I wish that the trailers leading up to this game didn't spoil so much. If you watch the trailers, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, watched any trailers for Life is Strange True Colors and you're interested in it, don't watch the trailers because I think that you will enjoy the game, Chapter 1 specifically, a lot more if you don't know anything going into it. I think that, I knew things were going to happen and it ruined a bit of it for me. Maybe ruin is a bit strong, but I just remember kind of being like, I know this is how this is going to go. I don't know how I feel about it. I wish I didn't know this was going to happen. It's like when you watch a trailer for a Square Enix game, their like launch date trailer, and you're like, oh, why'd they show that? And I mean, Life is Strange is published by Square Enix, so that's... Anyway. So, I am romancing Steph. And just to talk a tiny bit about some of the characters, I really like Jed. Jed's my favorite character so far. I think he's great. And Ryan and Jed. Ryan is the other romantic option. I think in my mind, Ryan and Jed are Canadian, and I know that they're not, but they both wear flannel. And Ryan references Celine Dion at some point. There's just other things, like Ryan loves like nature and shit. I'm like, that's a Canadian man, and I know he's not, but he looks Canadian, he acts Canadian. I'm just like, you're Canadian, even though he's not. That's like a weird thing, but that was anyway. And another thing I want to touch on is that I feel like the older characters feel so much more natural than the younger ones. So I already talked about, how the younger ones talk like theater kids. But the older characters, to me, feel more real. They remind me, if one of my dad's friends came over to my house and was like joking with me or something. Like that's how the characters talk. Like it feels very natural. It feels like how someone would talk to me if they were older. If that does that make sense? Anyway, they feel more real, and maybe that's just that the people working on the game are older. It comes more naturally to them to write that way. They've had more experience, talking to older people. Like I used to work at Canadian Tire when I was like a teenager, and Canadian Tire customers are usually like middle-aged older men, and the middle-aged older men in Life is Strange games tend to have the most realistic dialogue, and I think that's another reason why I really like Jed. Anyway, the decisions in this game also stress me out sometimes, because there's never really a right or wrong answer. And like here's another I'm being a bit nitpicky, but people said about the first Life is Strange games, and a lot of these games in general where you can make decisions, at the end of the day, your decisions don't matter that much. Like, you're going to get a pretty similar ending no matter what. And I don't really agree with that for the most part, because, it's more so about the journey leading up to it than, the ending and, those little changes that you see and, like, how characters interact with you and stuff. And so I don't mind that. That's not a criticism I have for the most part in Life is Strange games. But there is one decision at the beginning of the game that feels pretty useless, because it's one that should change and alter events, but it doesn't, and that I didn't like that very much. If you want to know more of my thoughts on Life is Strange True Colors, mostly like spoiler stuff, because I'm trying to edit out any potentially spoilers here. If you are supporting me on Patreon, I did a weekly gaming journal all about Chapter 1, and when I finish the game, I'm going to do, same thing for, like, the entire game, some of my, like, spoilery thoughts and stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, consider supporting me on Patreon. I'd really appreciate it. But, I mean, overall, I feel like this game might be a bit overrated. Which, like, it sucks to say, because I really want to enjoy it more than I do. But I don't know, have I outgrown Life is Strange? Maybe. I'm still interested in playing the other Life is Strange games that I haven't yet, but I don't know. It's not getting me so far in the same way that the first game did. And also, I forgot to mention this, I feel like the music isn't as good, and that's also a very core part of Life is Strange for me, is licensed music soundtracks, and True Colors is not hitting the same when it comes to the soundtrack for myself anyway. Life is Strange has these cool moments where it's almost like AMVs, where, things will be happening, it'll be showing different characters at different locations, and, it's almost like an AMV. It's like a music video. And you'll have licensed songs, and those are some of my favorite moments in Life is Strange. One of my favorite moments in the first Life is Strange game is like the ending chapters, the end of chapter 1 when Obstacles plays, or the end of chapter 2 when another song plays. In Mount Washington, I think, is a song that plays at the end of chapter 2. But like those moments in Life is Strange games, I really love them. The very ending of Life is Strange when Spanish Sahara plays. Those are some of my favorite moments, and True Colors does not have that. It has one moment, and the song didn't hit the same for me. It's just, I wish there was more of that, and I think that it's a bit weaker in that regard as well. But anyway, I've rambled a bit too long about Life is Strange True Colors. Moving on. I got the Astro's Playroom Platinum, which was easy peasy. I had most of the trophies already because I played it earlier this year when I got my PS5, and yeah, I got my platinum, and I also started tracking my platinums on Twitter. I made a little thread for it, so I'll update y'all if I get any more platinums. But yeah, Astro's Playroom Platinum, easy peasy. And the last thing I want to talk about is I have been playing the Harvestella demo, as I mentioned earlier. I haven't played really long of it, maybe like 40 minutes, if that. I really love the aesthetics in Harvestella so far, so the art style of like the sprites I think is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm also really enjoying the music, and oddly enough, the music kind of reminds me of Tinkerbell for the DS, which I talked about last episode. It just has this feeling to it, where it's like kind of magical, kind of like cottagecore. It's very good. I really like the music in this game so far. The farming seems to be cool so far. The, like, battling stuff seems a bit weird. I feel like I have to do more of that. But, I'm intrigued by the story as well, which was something I mean, I was always intrigued by, the whole idea of this quietest season, but, getting more of an idea of the story of this game has me more intrigued about it. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's probably going to be a day one buy for me still, unless this demo ends up, like, really fucking up somehow. But I'm really enjoying it so far. So, check it out if you haven't already. It is free on the eShop. Check out that demo. And for our last segment for this episode, we have questions. And this episode, I asked y'all, how do you feel about trophies / achievements in games? Do you have any platinum trophies? If so, what was your favorite to obtain? And this was on my mind because I got that Astro's Playroom Platinum. So I was curious, what do you guys think? And so, let's get into your answers. Adam says, I don't get platinums for most games, but I still enjoy trophies a lot. They help with motivation to play more of a game than I would have otherwise, and getting trophies is satisfying. I wish Nintendo would have an equivalent. My most rare platinums are The Last of Us Part 2, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Deadly Premonition, and Rocket League. For whatever reason, Xbox achievements don't feel nearly as important to me, I guess because there's no platinum equivalent. I got 100% of achievements though. PlayStation trophies are my favorite to get for sure. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying, Adam. I think platinums and trophies in general can be a great way to discover more about a game that you want to discover more of. You're not going to get the platinum or kind of seek out trophies for a game that you're not enjoying. But, if you finish a game and you're like, damn, I wish I could play more of this, that there was more to do, more secrets to uncover. I think looking at trophy list and getting some of those trophies is one of the best ways to go about that and really feel like you're getting the most of your time and just really enjoying that game to the best of your ability to get those trophies, I think, is one of the best things about trophies. And, I mean, I'm not playing on Xbox, but, I played some games on Steam as well, and, Steam achievements feel like nothing to me. They don't hit the same. I do wish Nintendo had some sort of equivalent, but PlayStation trophies are, for sure, my favorite. And then V says, I don't get many platinums myself because I'm kind of bad at games. I like the sense of accomplishment / checking off a list. I would even say platinums are a way to show how much you love a game, but I don't even think that's entirely accurate. Some of my most beloved games have weird trophies I have no idea how to unlock, and others with trophies I don't want to get. Cough cough, bug snacks. That being said, I only have 2 plats and they're both rhythm games. LOL. It's a big W if I finish a game, you expect me to platinum it? Yikes. And yeah, I do agree with that. I think getting platinums can be a great way to show you love a game, but it's not, that's not always the case. I love Kingdom Hearts. The only Kingdom Hearts game that I have a platinum for is Melody of Memory, which is my least favorite in the series. I would much rather have a platinum for Kingdom Hearts 2, but there's just some trophies in there where it's very demoralizing to try and get them as someone that's not super good at that game. And similarly, I have some platinums for games that aren't my favorites. I have the platinum for Life is Strange Before the Storm, and I like that game for sure, but I like Kingdom Hearts 2 a hell of a lot more, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of goes both ways. It's not always that accurate. And also, a lot of my platinums are visual novels or rhythm games as well, like you were saying. And I'm assuming your 2 platinums, V, are also for Melody and Memory and Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which are 2 games I also have the platinum for. Rhythm games are the best games to platinum, usually. So, just if you like rhythm games and you like trophies, be sure to look at the trophy list, because if you're good at rhythm games, they're easy platinums. But anyway. Santolizu says, as a completionist, trophies are terrible but can be amazing. As a developer, you want to dangle carrots for people to experience your game modes. The OG BlazBlue, I can't remember how I say that. I think it's BlazBlue. Anyway, was a fun game to platinum for me because a lot of character-specific trophies existed by doing bizarre things. It was a puzzle to solve for each and every one. But Resident Evil Village has my most irksome missing achievement because the 2 I am missing are to get good in the unnecessary mercenary mode, which also unlocks a lightsaber, and to complete an all melee playthrough, which I haven't done because I don't have a lightsaber. So I'm incentivized to not play the game until I do something I don't enjoy. Good trophies are great and bad ones are painful. I agree with this so much. I think, so one of my favorite platinums that I've gotten is Tales of Arise. And there's no trophies where you have to be on a certain difficulty level. There's no trophies where you have to replay the game. And there's no trophies that are like entirely irksome, right? But there are some trophy lists where it's like, oh my god, like who is going to do this? Like, you wouldn't do this unless you like are really good at the game and really love the game, or if you're just trying to get the trophies, right? And so, like, it really sucks when you want to platinum a game, but then you look at the trophy list and you're like, oh, it wants me to play on like the hardest difficulty with like X, Y, and Z and do this extremely difficult thing. And I get it, you know, they want you to do as much as you can in the game, and a lot of times that is doing, you know, the more difficult things. But sometimes it's just so like why are you doing this? Like, I feel like I'm being punished for wanting to play more of your game because the trophies are so difficult or like so time consuming and just blah. So there's really pros and cons, and there's like certain things that make a good trophy list, right? Like, I think one of the things I really love about the Tales of Arise trophy list is a lot of it is just, you know, doing a bunch of side quests, doing, you know, there's obviously main story stuff, you know, there's stuff like that where it just makes sense, you know, unlock a certain amount of abilities or some shit like that, you know, do some recipes. But then you see some trophy lists and it's like, why do you want me to play on the hardest difficulty? And, you know, do these very specific things that are just, anyway. Good and bad trophy lists are for sure a thing and can make or break the experience of trying to get a platinum. It's like, okay, here's a good example. So, let's take a rhythm game. Let's take Persona Dancing All Night, or let's take Melody and Memory. Those trophy lists, Melody and Memory doesn't have a good trophy list for the most part, but the Persona games have a good trophy list. And imagine if a rhythm game had a trophy where you had to full combo or like all perfect every song on like the hardest difficulty. That would be insane. No one would do that, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. And so a lot of rhythm games will just have, you know, maybe one trophy where it's like all perfect a song, and it'll be like you can do it on any difficulty, do it on the easiest difficulty. You can like pretty easily accomplish that, or, you know, complete all songs on the hardest difficulty, but maybe you don't have to full combo them. It's like there's ways around it that can make you play the game in you know, the best way possible, but also not make you sewer slidle. Anyway, that's my thoughts. And then Mila says, trophies and achievements can be really beneficial for visual novels as it helps track endings and is great for boosting profiles. That's why a lot of English speakers would import VNs from Japan purely for the platinums you can get even if you don't know the language. That's the only real time I really like trophies or achievements. Otherwise, it's a chore. Badly designed platinums can be such a chore. Exactly. Those badly designed platinums are the worst. And I've never really thought about this, how trophies can be useful for tracking, you know, your progress in a game as well. For visual novels, I usually don't. I mean, I don't think I play as many visual novels as you, Mila, to be completely honest. But I've never thought of them as like tracking different endings. But I mean, it even helps if, you know, I'm playing like Kingdom Hearts or something, and there's a trophy to, you know, do something, and I'm like, have I done that already on this save or something? Because, you know, you have that moment sometimes where you're like, I genuinely don't know if I've done this or not, and you can just look at the trophy and be like, oh, okay. So yeah, definitely tracking your progress through a game as well. And then Stevie says, well, you know me, I'm a little trophy addicted guy, have around 110 platinums. My favorites would probably be Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3, and having almost every Resident Evil done. That is wild, Stevie. 110 platinums. I think I have, I recently did that Twitter thread and I already can't remember how many platinums I have, but it's like in the double digits, the low double digits. It's like somewhere between 10 and 20 platinums that I have. 110 platinums. That is absolutely wild. I also love trophies, but I'm not good enough to get the platinums in a lot of games. And then Ryan says, I like them, but feel generally a lot of them are either lazily made or made unfun. Started the game. I get publishers probably do this to track active players, but still kind of dumb. Same as do this one task 10 million times. Exactly. Like we've kind of said already, it really depends on how the platinum is designed. If it's, and that was my main problem with Melody and Memory, was that I had all the trophies, just from, doing all the content essentially. I played every song on all the different difficulties. I had done the story mode. I had, done everything for the trophies for the platinum, except for this one trophy that was like defeat. It was like 100,000 enemies or something. And so at this point, I'd got all of the skill based and sort of completionist trophies. I just needed to defeat 100,000 enemies. And at that point, I had defeated about 60,000. And so I had to play the game so much more just to get that last trophy. And that annoyed me so much. It almost ruined my experience with the entire game that I was like, I want this platinum. And now I have to play for this much longer. Even though I have every other trophy that is like skill based, like I've done it all. I was so annoyed. And so yeah, do this task 10 million times. Miserable. Miserable. And then Beep says, I don't really focus on them, but I think they're a good way to help learn about the game. And yes, so actually, recently I was doing the Platinum for the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, and most of those trophies are like pretty straightforward, collect all the eyeballs and levels, complete the Somnium under 6 minutes, do the VR investigation segment right the first time, don't make any mistakes, stuff like that. Pretty straightforward. But then I got to a point where I was like, okay, let's take a look at the trophy list because I'm missing some trophies and I don't know how to get them. And there was one trophy, and I won't spoil it, but it's something, very specific in a certain Somnium that you have to do that, like, you probably wouldn't think to do if you were just playing the game normally. And, it's just a fun little extra content thing that I wouldn't have known about otherwise. And I really like stuff like that as well. And then Mona says, I like collecting them, but at the same time, I find quite a lot of lists ridiculous, especially when the main list enforces multiplayer trophies. As a DLC list, it's cool because it doesn't lock me out of the platinum. Or when the trophies are very situational or luck-based, because it just makes the game unfun. I think my favorite platinum is DMC 5, just because even if it was hard/frustrating, it was still fun to do, at least for me. Yes, agree. Like, I don't play many multiplayer games or games with even a multiplayer mode, so I haven't run into that problem, but it sounds extremely frustrating to be locked out of a platinum or a trophy just because you don't want to do multiplayer mode, or, in the cases of some older games where it's like the multiplayer servers are shut off, you can't even get that trophy anymore, but it's required for the platinum. That's some dumb shit right there. Then Wind Up Una says, I have 10 platinums, but I only collect them for games I really love or if I'm close to completing the trophy list at the end of a playthrough. Otherwise, I don't care much. My favorite platinum is probably Project Diva F2nd. I hope I'm saying the name right. Love rhythm games, or Tales of Berseria. There are also a handful of games I'm close to getting platinum on, but never will. The Evil Within games comes to mind. Last trophy need is to complete on the hardest difficulty with only 3 saves. Oof. Yeah. Rhythm game trophies, like I said, those are some of the best. And apparently the Tales games have good trophies, because I really like the Tales of Arise trophy list. And if Tales of Berseria also has one, I'm assuming at this point that the Tales games just have good trophy lists. So, I mean, if you like platinums, check out the Tales series. They won't make you want to kill yourself to get the platinum. Anyway. But yeah, those really difficult trophies. Man. I think we can all agree that a lot of them are silly and just not worth it. Then Andre says, they're pretty cool. I love how they come up with funny names of achievements for doing X thing. Have very few plats, but if I really love a game, I go for it. Horizon Forbidden West was the last one. It was amazing exploring that beautiful world. Yes, I love when they have funny names. Actually, fun fact, if you've played Danganronpa, if you get the platinum for Danganronpa, Danganronpa 2, I think all the Danganronpa games, maybe except one of them, it's either 3 or another episode, I can't remember. But the trophy names for the platinums are all references to Zero Escape, in case you didn't know. I can't remember exactly what they call them. I think one of them might be like 9 bears. I don't know. It's some sort of 9 blank, 9 blank, 9 blank, but it's like a Danganronpa words are replaced instead of, anyway. And another thing that made me think of was, you don't get a trophy for this, but when you finish Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, all the patch quests, there's one moment after you finish all the cutscenes where you pop like an achievement just in the game, not on PSN or anything. And the name of it, I can't remember what it is, but I just remember I was streaming it and like my jaw dropped because it was like, it was plot relevant, but I was like, wow, they really said that. Anyway, Final Fantasy XIV has some good ones when it comes to naming them. And then Jay says, to be honest, I actually don't care about them at all. I am somewhat of a completionist, but I tend to try and aim for an in-game 100% and usually don't concern myself with trophies. I don't often have a desire to do a second playthrough on hard or a super challenge for a trophy. I think my only platinum is Virtue's Last Reward, and you get that just by doing all the endings plus the secret epilogue. So yeah, kind of a completionist, but definitely not an achievement or trophy hunter. I have to draw the line somewhere to save my sanity. That's a mood. That's a mood for sure. Then Pigfilth1 says, I really don't care about them. I don't even understand the point of them, but I get people enjoy them and all that, and there's nothing wrong about that, and of course. So I think the general consensus is that most of us enjoy trophies for what they are, but we're probably not gonna go out of our way to really get them unless it's a game we really love or one that we really want to spend more time with. And so just to kind of talk about trophies a little bit, my first platinum was Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, and that was a platinum where most of it was fine, but then the last trophy I had to get was to get like every item from the Mono Mono machine, and that was really time consuming because I was like redoing a lot of the class trials to get more mono coins and then put them in the machine, and so that was I wouldn't do that now, but I did it when I was like Danganronpa obsessed as a teenager. And then the most recent platinum was Astro's Playroom and Sonic Files Nirvana Initiative. A lot of the platinums I do get are like story-based games where it's like Life is Strange, visual novels, stuff like that, or rhythm games. Those are the ones that I really tend to platinum, and then a few JRPGs like Tales of Arise or Final Fantasy 15. And I really like trophies. I can't lie. If you've seen me stream before and I'm playing a game for the first time and I pop a trophy, I get very happy. It's like instant dopamine. It's fantastic. Kind of like how I think it was V said earlier, when you're like checking off a list, it just feels really good. And so, yeah, I really like trophies, and it just sucks because sometimes like there's some games like Yakuza. I really love Yakuza. I want to put as much time as I can into like Yakuza 0. Really love those games. But some of the trophies are like so insanely difficult where it's like played on the hardest difficulty. Or they have a lot of mini games in the Yakuza series, so some of them are just completely not for me, but there's trophies around them, and so that can be really difficult. And so I'll get all the trophies for like doing all the side quests or doing all the stuff with the cabaret club, but I can't platinum it. So, but it still incentivizes me to play more, that I can get those trophies for completing the cabaret club or completing all the side quests. It's still an incentive, even if I'm not going for the platinum. If I can just get a few more trophies, that's something I will enjoy. And that's something I probably do with most games that I really enjoy, is I will initially be like, okay, let's try and get the platinum. And then I'll try, and then I'll see like a trophy or two where I'm like, I'm not doing this. But it still incentivizes me to play the game more. And that's really been kind of my experience with the Kingdom Hearts series as well, where, there's a few trophies where I'm like, I'm not doing this. But I'm still incentivized to play more, to get Sora to level 99, or, try and do some of the data battles, or complete the synthesis stuff. There's stuff like that, where even if you don't get the platinum, it's still incentivizing you to play more. And another interesting thing I just want to bring up before I kind of wrap it up, Persona 5 is a platinum where I don't know if you need to do 2 playthroughs, but I want to say you do. And it's just, trying to platinum a Persona game can be quite difficult because it's very specific in certain ways, of like you need to do this, this, and this on X date, and you have that time constraint, which makes things a lot more difficult. But Persona 5 Royal was a platinum that I really enjoyed because it didn't focus on the same stuff that the Persona 5 platinum focused on, where it was like finish what do they call it, the compendium, the Persona compendium, that's not what they call it. I don't know, but like, get all the personas and all that shit. That's like one of those trophies that's in pretty much every Persona game. But Persona 5 Royal didn't have that because the trophies are more focused on the Royal exclusive content. And so a lot of the trophies were just like, go to this area that's exclusive to Royal and like do some stuff there. Obviously, you have like main story stuff, but a lot of the trophies are just focused on the new content, and so it's such an easier platinum to get. It's also more enjoyable because, like, if you already got the Persona 5 platinum, like, imagine having to do all that again for Royal. It'd be miserable. At least that was my Royal experience, and I didn't even get the platinum. I was just replaying it. Um, so yeah, I think there's pros and cons to trophies and platinums, and of course there are like achievements on other platforms like Xbox or Steam, but they just don't hit the same, I think, for a lot of people. And I do wish Nintendo had something like that because, I think of games like Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild where I really, really adore them. Even Animal Crossing, I really adore all those games, but and I'm incentivized, I go back and I put a lot of time, especially into Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild, but there's still so much I haven't done or that maybe I haven't discovered that if I could get a little reward for it to put on my like Nintendo like profile, I would play. I'd put more time into those games. Which, I mean, I know it's probably not the best mindset to have of like wanting to play more of a game just for trophies, but it definitely helps. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It helps for sure. Because I still went back even after finishing Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. I still went back and I put, hours more time into those games because I really enjoyed them and I wanted to get more out of them. But sometimes I wonder, like, if there's a trophy list to do, like, a specific thing or to, like, collect a certain, would I have played it more? Would I have discovered more things about that game? Would I have enjoyed my time? Would I have gotten a better experience? And I'm like, well, probably. And, maybe I would have gotten burnt out on it as well from trying to get everything. But, I think, like I said earlier, it's an incentive to keep doing shit. And I really like that, and checking off a list and getting that dopamine boost when a trophy pops. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Luna's Galaxy podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I'll be back on Tuesday, September 27th for the next episode where we'll be discussing who knows what. If you want to be a part of the Luna's Galaxy community, you can join our Discord server, link in the description. You can also keep up with me on Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch where I'm at EmiLunaGames. And now you can also support me on Patreon. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.